We're going to open up our Visual Web Developer and let's create a new page. Add new item. And we're going to do Visual Basic, we're going to do Web Form, and let's call this Calc for calculator. Code in a separate file, and we'll go ahead and add. And let's get over into Design View. We'll go ahead and set up the page. Let's just call it Simple Calculator. And we need a couple of boxes here, text boxes, so we can add. So we'll stick in the text box. And we'll stick in a space here in another text box. And then we want our calculator to do 4 things, so let's add in 4 buttons. 4 buttons. I'm going to space them just a little bit. Okay. We need to go through here and add in create IDs. So let's just call this text box underscore num1. And let's call this text box underscore num2. And let's call this btn underscore add. And the label, let's make it add. Button underscore 2, let's call it btn underscore subtract. Multiply. And finally, so what we would like to happen is have the user put one number in here, put a second number in here, and then click one of these buttons, what they would like it to do. So we need to create an event handler for each of these buttons to be able to perform the actions. So the easiest way to create an event handler is just to double click the item. So let's double click the add button. It creates this subroutine in the code behind. So when button add is clicked, button add click, then we're going to do this. So now we need to go in here and declare our variables. So the first thing I'm going to do is create the user, so I will dim, let's call it num1 as, let's save it as a decimal. And I need to populate it with the text box num1.text. Dim, call it this variable number2 as a decimal, and we'll populate it with text box number2, the .text property. Alright, the next thing I need to do is create the variable to hold the result. So here I'm going to create dim, let's call it sum result. decimal, and sum result equals num1 plus num2. And then finally, I'm going to display the results to the user. So before I can display the results to the user, I need to go ahead and put in the results. So let's go underneath here, and let's put in an imp label. The label, let's give it an ID of LBL underscore result, and let's blank the text, take the text out so that it's a blank label. Okay, so now I have a placeholder for it. So I will go back into the code behind, and will be L result. The .text property of that equals concatenate, and then add the variable. Concatenate it again, put in a period, and then finally the subroutine will end. So we'll save all this, save all the pages, we'll go back to calc. And remember, the only way to check this is to view it in the browser. So now if I add 3 plus 5, I get a sum of 8. The rest of these right now are broken. Okay, so I want to add an event handler for the subtract button, so I just double click it. A new subroutine is put back here. I can do a lot of copying and pasting. Those are fine. Let's call this diff result for the difference. Diff result. Okay. Save the results here, and let's test this in the browser. So if we add them together, we get a sum of 9. Yes, we need to change the mathematic operator to minus. And let's try again. 3 plus 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 6 minus 3 is 3. So we have these two working. And then we would similarly do the items for multiply and divide. So I've gone through each one of these now. I've double-clicked the button. Double-clicking the button is the easiest way to create the subroutine behind, in the code behind. So we filled in the one for addition, subtraction. I've done multiplication and division as well. So now if we go to test the page, view in the browser, 6 and 3, if we add those two together we get 9. If we subtract them we get 3. If we multiply them we get 18. And if we divide them we get 2. And this should also work in the negative. Negative 3. 1.5. So we can see that the simple calculator is working pretty well. Our event handlers are all working correctly. Last thing we could do, if we would like to, is just to kind of spice the page up a little bit, we can add some CSS. So let's do a style, type equals text.css, and we'll just worry about the body tag for now. Background color is, let's do gray. Font color, let's do blue. Font size, let's do larger. And font weight, let's do bold. And when we add a little styling to it, we go back in to view it in our browser. We have our styling, and we have a functioning calculator. So an easy way to use variables to capture things from the text box and then take action on them in the code behind.